I don't know what happened to my video there, but we're back. Make sure my internet connection's good, and hold on. It is. Not sure what that was, but there we go. We're good. Yeah, I thought on a whole the Flyers played well. They came out first shift of the hockey game, like I said in the last post game pod. Um, Good hard shift, good energy, and ended up early in the period with Travis Konechny scoring a goal, get the boys on the bench going. Get the Boo Birds kind of raining down a little bit on Long Island at UBS Arena, so that was nice to see. There was some chippiness, and then right after the Flyers goal, the Islanders responded like 30 seconds later, and then like a minute and 55 seconds after that, and that put them up 2-1. They got another goal, I believe, in the second period, which made it 3-1, and that was a lead they would never relinquish despite the Flyers' best efforts. Again, I thought their play was consistent, but their results weren't consistent. Like they had a lot of good hard shifts, so a lot of big hits, a lot of tight checks, and things like that. A lot of good coverage. They did they could have done a better job blocking shots, but on a whole, however, I thought they were really really good. Um, they just didn't have. I don't think they really had the legs, especially toward that second period and into the third period, because that was their fifth and sixth periods of hockey in maybe a little more than 24 hours. That's a lot on a team, and even though the Flyers have lots of young legs, that's a lot on your young guys for sure. So, no surprise that they were a little dead legged. I mean, I say that, but I don't excuse it. I mean, just because something makes sense doesn't mean you expect it to happen. And I do believe the Flyers will learn from this. The Flyers will learn how to learn from this, like how to keep themselves fresh in that first game while they're on the ice to save their legs kind of for that second game. And that's something that veteran teams like the Islanders and maybe even like the Rangers. I know the Rangers have a lot of young pieces, but they've been playing together for at least 4 or 5 years at this point. So they're used to the grind of the NHL schedule. So um, that's certainly a minus for the Flyers, and that's something they'll grow into. I am not alone in thinking that. I know there are other Flyers fans. I was listening to the Patterson Ave Sports Show. Let me look up the name of their guest. I believe his name was Frank Finnegan. And he had some salient points about the Flyers, ones that I would agree with. The Flyers just struggle with veteran-laden squads. And not to say that this team isn't ridiculously talented, but they do. They just struggle when teams have more experience than they do. and teams that have been in playoff battles, that have won games, that in some cases have lifted cups. They just struggle when they're faced with um, with those types of challenges, and maybe those challenges are challenges that other teams in the NHL have faced before. So that's unfortunate. I do, however, believe this team will bounce back from this, and not only will they bounce back from this, they'll get better from this, and will be better for it next year and the years down the line. I still believe this is a cup contender in the next 2 years. This core will contend for a cup within the next 2 years. And you guys might think that's a hot take right now, but looking at the talent they have on display, those guys just need a few more years of seasoning, a few more years of experience of playing together, playing with each other. That once they get that, oh boy, they're gonna be a tough out in the playoffs year in and year out. That's for sure. And I personally can't wait for it. I just think teams like the Islanders have been in the playoffs. Teams teams like the Rangers have been close for a lot of years. Um, teams like the Panthers have won cups. Teams like the Lightning have won cups, and that's the level the Flyers are trying to get to, trying to attain. Like, to be at that consistent cup contender level. And I don't believe they need a lot. I believe that Frank Finnegan has said they need a lot of pieces, which I vehemently disagree with, and he's of course entitled to his opinion. Um, but I will say I do believe the Flyers are a good young goalie away from truly being considered cup contenders. And their skaters are already so good right now, especially their young ones, that even if it's just an average goalie, they might they might be good with that. Like, honestly, like, I like the guys we have now in net, but they are all three of them, Kolosov, Fedotov, and Urson, should be serviceable backups at the NHL level. They should not be starters, and unfortunately, because of the actions of a goalie who shall not be named, Carter Hart. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what that was. I must have gotten a tickle in my throat. Oh my god. But yeah, because of a goalie who shall not be named, the Flyers are in this position now. Granted, he was 16, and I think most of us do stupid shit when we're 16. Now, I'm not trying to excuse his actions, certainly not, but I'm just making a statement of fact. Now, I do believe there are some good young goalies in this draft. I have to double check that statement, but I I read I read somewhere, probably NHL.com, that there were some pretty good young goalies in this draft. So hopefully the Flyers can snap one up. But for right now, we have a season to play, and hopefully they can bounce back from this little 9-2 um, stretch they just came off of in New York. That's just absolutely brutal. But if I know anything about this team, they know how to bounce back from some rough stretches. And I'm not worried with the type of veteran leadership they have and the type of coaches they have and the type of young talent they have, I don't think there's really any reason for the Flyers to fret or for the Flyers fans to fret. But what I will say is, I believe this team is in a similar spot to the Phillies were in, or that the Phillies were in 2006, 2007. Like, they're young, they're ridiculously talented, and they'll knock on the door to the playoffs, but they can't quite find the key to let them in. But once they find that key in the next couple years, it's going to be a dangerous team, and the key may come in a certain player in London in British Columbia, a certain centerman down there, and I'm sure Flyers fans have heard a lot about him. His name's Jet Luchenko, and this kid, I believe the league he plays in is called the BCHL, the British Columbian Hockey League, or the I think it might just be the Canadian Hockey League, but I want to say he leads all centers and goals and points scored in that hockey league, and so that's good to see. And if anybody knows otherwise, please correct me in the comments. I'm more than welcome to constructive criticism. In fact, I really appreciate it. So yeah, hopefully he comes up soon, and the Flyers can really continue on this positive trajectory. And it really is crazy. Like, look what can happen when you have a front office that's stacked with people who know how to build a hockey club in the 21st century, and like, don't just stick to this 1974 big freaking Broad Street Bully kind of hockey player, because that type of hockey player is very passe, very antiquated and very old school. So I just want to give another shout out to Danny Briere and Keith Jones. I feel like they're doing a tremendous job, and Keith Jones was on Flyers pregame live I want to say a month or two ago, and he was like, "No, our rebuild's right on schedule. Like, we're right where we thought we'd be, and we're a few points out of a playoff spot. And I'm happy with the way we're playing." And from my perspective, it's hard to argue with him. Like, there's some inconsistencies you'd like this team to kind of clean up for sure, but they're when they're on, I believe they're one of the most dangerous teams in the NHL. Specifically, the Noah Cates, Tyson Forrester, and Bobby Brink line. God, that line's so much fun to watch. And the crazy thing about them is they're all young kids. They're all young guys. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun next few years for the Flyers, and I certainly can't wait. It was tough. It was a tough loss last night, but that, like I said yesterday, it doesn't, or last video that I posted yesterday, um, one loss doesn't break a season unless it's like late May, early June. All right. So with that being said, as always, go Flyers.